recent 2023 survey of independent self-storage executives, owners, and operators, 82% reported that missing calls at the facility level were their most critical service concern. The phones are still the lifeblood of the self-storage business. From capturing incoming rental opportunities to handling tenant needs, the phones still continue to be a central part of the business. Since 2000, XPS Solutions has partnered with and supports thousands of independently owned and operated facilities to handle millions of calls, payments, and rentals. Our innovative technology is instrumental in reducing operating expenses, driving revenue, and capturing five-star tenant experiences for our clients. One facility or 100, no matter how large or small your business is, XPS Solutions is the answer. 80% of calls your facility receives are from existing tenants. These calls are often tenants who want to know their balance, make a payment, obtain a gate code, or know when their lease is up. This can be incredibly time-consuming and detracts from catching prospect calls and renting units. With XPS 24/7 Pay by Phone, you automatically enable the tenant to obtain their balance and make a payment without engaging with a team member or agent. This dramatically reduces time spent on the phone and allows a smooth, self-serve customer experience. The other 20% of your calls are prospect opportunities. For years, software limited XPS's ability to convert and move in a rental from a call. However, now with the new integration XPS offers into the property management systems, XPS rental experts can take those inquiries and convert callers into tenants in one call. With the XPS Rent Up solution, we directly integrate with many of the leading software management systems to lease up the prospect over the phone. This drives immediate occupancy and customer satisfaction the first time the prospect contacts your facility, while catching those precious leads when your team isn't available. Let's not overlook mobile and the opportunity it presents. Today's tenants need convenient options to engage with your business. XPS Solutions offers the industry's original tenant-facing mobile app, My Store Pal, which allows tenants to obtain their balance, make payments, access code details, store unit details such as pictures and contents, and contact customer service via chat, phone, or email right from the app. My Store Pal directly integrates with the largest software providers and reduces calls while driving a five-star customer experience. And speaking of five-star experience, XPS Solutions integrates with Birdeye, one of the premier reputation management service providers, to capture positive feedback and customer reviews for every positive phone engagement we handle. This activity drives search engine ranking and ensures you have a regular, relevant, and positive feedback on your online platforms. XPS Solutions. It all happens over the phone. Contact us today to schedule a discovery call to capture what you're missing.
Are you a self-storage owner or operator looking for service providers to help at your facility? Well, the Storage Business Owners Alliance, also known as the SBOA, has you covered. The SBOA is a premier online hub for connecting self-storage owners and operators to industry-leading products and service providers. We provide one-stop shopping for your business with exclusive offers to save time and money. At the SBOA, we believe by coming together, we help owners and operators grow revenue, gain purchasing power, reduce expenses, improve efficiencies, and increase profitability. We also offer many resources such as our conferences and Self-Storage Unlocked webinars to help self-storage owners and operators gain the knowledge needed to become more competitive in the industry. To become an SBOA member or to find out more information, please visit www.thesboa.com today. We can't wait for you to join the Alliance.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, self-storage industry. Thank you for joining us for another one of the SBOA's Self-Storage Unlocked educational webinar series. My name is Jessica Johnson. I'm the president of the SBOA, and we thoroughly enjoy putting these on with our partners out in the industry, and we could not do these type of events without their help. So we've got a great panel lined up for you today. We're going to talk today all about rent, beyond the rent, and income sources, revenue sources for you outside of rent. So all of those ancillary income products that are out there that you should and could be selling at your facilities. And with occupancy declining currently, we think that this is a very important topic because this is a way to keep generating revenue for you. Before we get started, just a couple quick housekeeping items. If you want to interact with us today and ask our great panelists that have tons of wisdom and many years of experience in the industry questions, you can do that in the chat section. We will also put some poll questions in the chat section. And we only ask poll questions so we can get to know you better and see how we can help you. We've been owners and operators in the industry for over 25 years. We've had a successful portfolio that we sold. We have a new portfolio that we're growing again. So you are in the right place to learn from the right people. So I'm going to get this thing kicked off. XPS Solutions is our proud sponsor of today's event. So I'm going to bring up Shannon from XPS. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning, Jessica.
Thank you for being here. Shannon, tell the industry who you are, what you do, and what XPS does.
Sure. I am Shannon Charbonneau. I'm the Vice President of Client Solutions here at XPS. And what that means is I'm here to make sure that you guys get the services that you need to support your business. So call center services, remote manager services, then we're your guys.
You definitely are. And XPS is a great partner of ours. Shannon took on taking today's event and owning it. This is her baby. So she's going to be the one really moderating today. I'm just going to sit on the sidelines for backup, which is awesome. And I don't get to do that often. So thank you again, Shannon, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We're going to intro our other speakers real quick. Next up, I have Jamie from Supply Side. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, Jamie, tell us all about you and Supply Side.
Yeah, so I am Jamie Renovich. I am the Director of Marketing at Supply Side. Supply Side, we service all the large REITs and even a lot of the small mom and pop shops with all of their locks, boxes, tape, other retail products, and back of store products. So basically your one-stop spot to get everything that you need outside of the actual storage unit building.
That's awesome. And you guys have been around. You've been partners with us previously in the past. We know your team really well. And this is a great source for you out there, owners and operators, to get connected and get some products in your retail location. So thanks for being here with us today, Jamie. All right. Up next, I have Jackie from Everbright. Good morning, Jackie.
Morning, Jess.
Jackie's also my birthday twin, just in case the industry cares to know that fun fact. We were both born on July 1st. It's one of the best days out of the 365 days in the year. I'm just kidding.
Jackie, the whole country of Canada celebrates our birthday. I mean, what could be better about that?
Yeah. Oi, or whatever they say up there. I don't know. I haven't been there in a while. Hey, Jackie, tell us all about you and Everbright.
So I am the controller for Everbright. Everbright, we have coatings for door restoration, improving your curb appeal, making your facility look better. I am the controller. I have a finance background. And so while some have dubbed me the queen of curb appeal, which I gladly take the title, it also kind of taking that now more specifically into building value for your business and your storage facility with using that curb appeal and, like today's topic, building other revenue sources as well.
Yeah, and curb appeal is really important. I mean, there's an overall decrease in search demand for self-storage. So as people are searching for self-storage in your local area, the better your property looks, the more enticing it may be for them to come rent with you. Clean shrubs, no cigarette butts on the concrete, no trash. No trash. nice, beautiful. And, Jackie's product restores doors, and doors are one of the main things people associate with self-storage facilities, mainly the color of the door. So it's a really good product for you all out there to take a look at and use in restoring your doors if your property is on the older side. So thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And last but certainly not least, we have Mario Macalusa from our division over on the SBOA tenant insurance side. Good morning, Mario.
Good morning, Jessica.
Thanks for being here. And Mario is going to talk to us today all about tenant insurance. And this is one of the main ancillary income drivers out there that we believe helps, show some really good numbers in revenue. So Mario, tell us all about you, SBOA tenant insurance, and what you do.
Sure. So I am part of the SBOA family, one of the co-founders along with Ian Bernstein and about 24 other top operators throughout the industry. We put together the SBOA tenant insurance product for our industry and have been creating value for the past 12 years for operators throughout the country. So really proud to be part of the SBOA family and to be here today and share with you some insights of and some success stories that some of our operators have had.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Mario. I'm going to bring everybody back up stage, and Shannon's going to kick this off. And like I said, I'm on the sidelines today, but I will put my input in here where it is warranted. So Shannon, take it away.
Thank you, Jessica. And it will be. So please jump in. And also for those participants and those who are listening, please jump in there with comments. We are going to be a very open panel today. We want to make sure that we're answering all of your questions. So if anything comes up, please post that in the comments and we'll be sure to answer that as well. So the whole reason that we are having this discussion is, as Jessica mentioned, leads are down. Every person who's looking at online studies is showing that the number of requests and the number of searches for self-storage in my area is down right now. And so as operators, the goal is to figure out how to take those fewer leads, those fewer phone calls, and treat them like the gold that they are, right? Not only to get the rental, but how do we keep them longer? And how do we get a little bit of extra revenue out of every single tenant? Because we're no longer in the period where we're talking about how often can we increase rent this year. So that is the whole purpose for this panel. And I am going to kick it off by just saying, let's throw out some ideas of things that operators can do to increase their revenue stream. And then we'll dig into the details. Mario, I feel like you might have a suggestion.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Shannon. So tenant insurance is a great opportunity for operators to provide a great product for their tenants. We'll talk about the revenue part of it, but really, I just got back from the California Self-Storage Association's their Napa event, and one of the common themes with every speaker is that tenants, when they go to a self-storage operator's website, what they want to see is that the facility is safe, secure, just like you mentioned, that it's clean, that the doors are clean. So, but the safe and secure and cleanliness, with every speaker, they were ranked in the top 3, right? They might have moved around depending on who the speaker was and depending on when the research was done. Tenant insurance is one of those unique products that an operator can offer, that it's convenient, it's month to month, so it goes along with the rental, and it's very affordable. The other kind of hidden gem of that is operators can earn an administrative fee for just offering the insurance or protection plan as tenants are moving in, and increase their monthly revenue. So and we'll get more in depth on how they can do that, as we kind of move around the panel.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mario. And then I'm going to ask a question to Jamie specifically, because I love the display that you are sitting in front of. I think many people who are watching this have probably seen something similar. I believe you call that merchandising. And so I want to kind of just ask you a little bit about what is that? What does that look like for the operators? And we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Awesome. Merchandising, just like you see behind me, is just the process of promoting, selling, and getting that visibility of products to your renter. Merchandising could be anything from this large peg wall behind me to, some smaller facilities might just have a small little display grid right next to their counter. Ideally, nice and clean, kind of just like having your property. You want everything kind of space, clean, easy to access. And that is merchandising in a nutshell.
I love
it. And what I want to add to that, Jamie, I come from a food service background before I got into self-storage. So merchandising was really critical in that, because if you don't have a lot of food out, people's thought is expired, right?
Right.
Think of it on the same way of that. Like, if the merchandising is not set up and it's not fully stocked and it's dismal and looks grim, I mean, that's not appealing for me to come purchase from, right? Even though these are way different products than food products. But
right.
I would, suggest that everybody keeps their inventory up to date. It's nice and clean, like you said, and that there's a good variety. Plus, you can also promote on your, marquee sign or on your website. Like, this is a one-stop shop. If you are in the process of moving, you don't have to go to a local Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart or wherever to get boxes and tape. Like, if you're going to come rent and store with us, you can get all of that right here while you're doing that process too. Some facilities even offer the moving trucks, which we'll talk about too. So, I mean, that really makes it a full cycle, one-stop shop. If they can come in, rent, get a truck, get their moving supplies, all of that. So these are things to look at that are really critical for your business and can, like I said, help add that ancillary income line.
Fantastic. And Jamie, also, can you talk a little bit about facilities that maybe require that you buy the lock from them versus just offering that as an option? What do you see as a supplier of those? Do people who don't require it still see good sales as a result of just having it available?
Yeah. So some places do the requirements now, and especially with the unmanned facilities, they have gone about different ways of you're required to purchase it during your online, and then they have the manager go out when they do go to the facility and actually just slide the locks under the door. Along with, I don't know if you guys were at past trade shows, some of the vending machines that are coming out. So yeah, we see great sales, whether it's required or not. Also, a lot of the locks, like the disc locks and the cylinder locks, are not something that you're able to go to Walmart and buy. So there's always going to be good sales and revenue because it's something that's not offered elsewhere.
I love it. And when you do training for the staff, do they talk about the differences in those locks and why you would choose one over a different style?
Yes, it kind of varies depending on, if you own one facility or you have a portfolio of 50. If I have one facility, I most likely will only have one type of lock, and that'll be my focus. If I'm a large REIT and, I have hundreds of locations, that's going to be the time that we're going to have to talk with the customer a little more about the different types of locks. Hey, this side of the facility might have a disc lock compared to a padlock, and that education will come into play a little more.
I love it. Jackie, you actually wrote something when we were talking about this whole thing that really, really piqued my interest, and I want to ask you about it specifically. But you talked about how can we turn the improved curb appeal that everybody on this call already mentioned organically. I love that. But talk a little bit about how do you turn that into real value for the facility?
Well, for one, if you are, you're competing against the REITs. The REITs have beautiful Class A facilities. If you're a smaller facility or, mom and pop single owner facility, you really want to be able to compete, and you do that by looking your best. I always say people have a thought about storage when they need it. They don't think about storage until they need it, but subconsciously, if they've been driving by your facility every day, they've already made that decision. They either look at your facility and go, oh, that's places on my way to work. That's so convenient. It looks like a great place. I'll store there. Especially if you have those flags and signs, like Jess was saying, if you've got the boxes, you've got the moving truck, and you make it easy for people, that's really helpful. Like, that all plays into curb appeal, is attracting those customers to your facility, showing all of the things you can offer them without kind of overwhelming them. But that is all part of curb appeal. And it's really getting those customers in the door so that you can not only obviously rent to them, but sell them all of these additional services. And really training your managers to be salespeople is a huge, I know I'm kind of leaping, but it's like a huge asset to have a manager who can actually be a salesperson for all of these different things, just offering up people supplies, explaining tenant insurance or tenant protection to them so that they understand it and want to do that. Making sure that your managers are not just a warm body sitting there. They're actually being helpful, selling the things that can be sold. But really the curb appeal is what drives people in the door in the first place. And then you build the sales from there. And as we know, every lead right now is yours to lose. So again, it goes back to making your place look appealing, both online and offline, and as people drive by, and then really having somebody there to be an advocate for all of these different programs.
I want to piggyback just on Jackie's comment. The people that are at the desk, they are your sales team, right? So you need to make sure in the recruiting process, you must hire someone that is extroverted, that is friendly, that is not afraid to sell. If you hire someone that's introverted and cannot walk them through the sales process, you've got the wrong person in place. I mean, I hate to tell you that, you just do. They're your front line of defense for you, and they are a critical position. So, and there's a lot of technology that's coming into play into self-storage that is eliminating some of their daily workload and tasks. So there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to do some of this stuff because they're getting, some alleviation, or they're getting alleviated on some of the work tasks on this side where they can really focus on some of these things that we're talking about. So.
This actually came up, I think, just yesterday on a Facebook group that says, I think it's Self-Storage Managers Facebook group. And the question was brought up, like, what do we do when there are fewer leads, right? And Jessica, I know you'll appreciate this coming from the service industry, but I have always heard if you have time to lean, you have time to clean, right?
Yeah.
So yes. So here's what I'm going to say. If your phone's not ringing and nobody is walking in the door, if they do, that door had better be sparkling because I know you had time, right? Know you had time. So I love it. Melissa and Josh Huff, if they're listening to this, they know I'm going to say this, but clean in the corners, get in the corners. I love it. So that is all about getting the curb appeal. And Jackie, I loved what you said about, like, they've driven past your facility a dozen times before they even know they need storage, and they already know whether or not they would rent with you or not. Right. I also think they have the right and the reasonable right to expect that how it looks when they rent with you is how it's going to look the entire time that they stay. So if they show up 6 months from now to visit their items, as it were, and half of the light bulbs are out, or, maybe the Everbright coatings have not been done on their door when they need to be. I think those are all really, really key things that talk about the value of your facility. Jamie, I'm going to turn that back to you just a little bit because we talked about, locks specifically, like every single unit is going to need a lock. They don't necessarily need every single other item. How do we get, like Jessica said, the sales aspect of that with the on-site staff? What is the training process for that? How do we get them on board with making sure they're getting all of those ancillary sales?
Yeah, I think the first most important thing is looking at your sales area and what you're offering. Some facilities might be in a closet, so you're only offering the locks. A little bigger space, you might have locks, tapes, and those boxes. And as you have a bigger area, you're able to supply more to your customer. Our biggest planogram that we offer at Supply Side is 12 feet. So it's very different training depending on the size of your store, but also that's very different revenues that you're getting out of it. The best training is always when you have someone come on board, connect them with your distributor. At Supply Side, we welcome all new managers who come on board with the company and give them the information they need. Once again, you're having someone come rent from you who might have used a master lock on their locker in high school. How do you put this in and use it? No idea. So making sure your manager opens everything, tries out, puts it in, and they're going to have questions while they're working with it. The same thing goes towards tape. This is going to sound hilarious, but I never knew that the little tabs on the back is where you fold the tape so it doesn't go back in. So I started working here. I'm like, how many years of my life have I lost the tape because I didn't simply know that that's what those tabs are for. So the best training, connect with who you're buying your products from, and then also take one of each item and have them play with it and discover those things. So when their customer comes in, hey, remember when you use the tape, fold it back. You're going to not be picking at it or trying to figure out what's going on.
I love it. Jackie, did you have a question too?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I saw your hand.
I was just going to say, I was today years old when I learned how to use a tape dispenser. That's all I had.
You know, I have those moments at 42, and I'm like, 42 years, and I'm just finding this out. Like, what rock have I been hiding under?
I knew it goes underneath there to keep it flat. I never thought about folding it back.
Shannon, I just want to add two things real quick. And this comes from Darren Kelly. He's an operator out of Texas. And we were talking one time, and I love when he says this. And this is like an old, like Mary Kay method too. There's two parts to this. When Darren trains his people to listen, what are you storing with me? A king mattress. Okay. While they hear that, they're going to go over and get a king mattress pad. What else are you storing? And as they listen, they already have back at the checkout desk all of those things that would complement what they have told us they are storing. So listen to your customers as they're in there telling you these things, and they might not even think. And then you can sell, like, you need a mattress pad because you don't want to get dirty. You don't want things to like fall on it, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say, and then the Mary Kay method is like, while you're talking to them, you're shaking your head yes, because then they start to shake their head yes, and something with the mental psyche is going, yes, I need that king mattress pad or cover or whatever it is. And then back to training. Mario, I want to touch on this with you because I know our tenant insurance division, and I'm sure many of the other ones out there, because there's many offerings, offer a level of training because people get a little like, I don't want to sell insurance. They get a little freaked out by it. So tell the audience how we can support them through SBOA TI with that marketing and training.
Sure. So a great point. We actually provide online training, and the training is such that it walks them through step by step. So it educates the managers on the product, but recognizing that they're not insurance experts like myself, right? They're just going to simply make that offering. So we share with them the proper way that's compliant on how they can offer that to their tenant in a way that makes sense to the tenant, and the likelihood of the tenant enrolling in the program is going to be very high. And I'll give you one example. You can, whether it's through Google and you get an email about storage fires. I get an alert probably once a week or once every other week about a small storage fire. It may be in a remote area, but look at the news, right? Owners, managers, and operations managers, management companies, they can't control what's going on in the Midwest right now. Look at all the storms that are going on, right? So the lease clearly states that the facility and the management company are not responsible for the tenant's goods, right? But when a tenant stores with you, they have a reasonable expectation that those contents are going to be safe and secure. So, a storm comes through, wipes out a building. I mean, it's happening all over the Midwest right now. They just have to. And so our training kind of teaches managers to recognize what the exposures are, how the tenant can transfer that risk to an insurance company or protection plan and protect their contents. So the training is really a critical component to the success of any tenant insurance program or tenant protection plan. Because first of all, you want to make sure they're doing it properly. You want to make sure that they're comfortable with the process. You want to make sure that it's ease of use. And then more importantly, that the tenant understands the value of the coverage and therefore they're likely to purchase the product. We have some facilities that have 90% participation in the tenant insurance program. Some have 70, some have 80. But even if let's say your manager is the worst manager on planet Earth, right? And that's not the case. But let's just say, for example, when the tenant rented and they said, the manager said, you don't want to buy this tenant insurance product, do you? Right? Let's say they just went with a complete negative. Chances are that the tenant's going to go, well, tell me more about it, right? Even if you just clearly said you don't want to buy it, most tenants are going to go, well, what's that for, right? And then now you can lead into the conversation, explain what it covers, how inexpensive it is, how it's paid with rent, it's month to month, they can cancel at any time. So there's to Jessica's point, the training is critical. It's absolutely critical to the success of the program.
Yeah, and I meet many, many owners as I travel across the U.S. for these trade shows and conferences. And I hear this more often than I really should hear this. I'll talk to an owner and say, are you offering tenant insurance? No, my manager doesn't want to sell it, doesn't want to deal with it. Well, honey, you got the wrong manager, and that person probably needs to go find another job, honestly. So think of those things as you're out there. If these are things that you want to institute in your business, your managers need to adopt in, and we have ways to train them to get them to buy in. And like Mario was saying, feel more comfortable. But please don't be that owner that says, my manager doesn't want to do that. You have the wrong manager if you are having that dialogue with that manager. I can promise you. So Shannon, I'm going to kick it back over to you.
Yeah, I want to ask a question to Mario specifically. And you guys know I'm not afraid to let you peek behind the curtain and see where maybe some of my blind spots are. But I'm going to share a little live situation with you, Mario, and ask how you overcome that as training the staff. I did not know the difference between having homeowners coverage, which of course I have, and a tenant protection plan for self-storage. So when I personally rented self-storage, I honestly thought that I was doing myself a favor and saving myself $10 a month or however much it was by walking in that store with a copy of my homeowner's declaration page. Talk to me a little bit about the difference between those two things, because I feel like if I didn't know that and I'm in this industry, I can't be the only one. Sure. And how to help your managers get that word out when they're talking with their tenants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, Shannon. So that's a great point. So insurance, the beauty about our product in tenant insurance and tenant protection plans, right? There's a lot of providers, but the beauty of our product is that, first of all, it's affordable. Like you said, $10, $9. They're depending on the limit, it's a very affordable. Number two, it's month to month, so it's paid with rent. Number three, and I'll get to your point here, Number three, there's no underwriting, right? So like homeowners insurance policies, you have to go through a whole underwriting process. You have to give your social security number. They'll do a credit score and the like. But then more importantly to what Shannon mentioned is homeowner policies, there's a lot of exclusions. So some policies may cover storage contents while they're being stored in a facility. Some have specific exclusions. Most homeowner policies have a $500 or $1,000 deductible.
Yep.
And then the real concern of why you shouldn't just use your homeowner policy, right? This product is of great value, is because if you claim a claim on your homeowner policy, most companies, if you have 2 claims within a 5-year period, they'll cancel your policy. Some insurance companies, there's 2,000 insurance companies in the country. Some of them will raise your rate after 1 claim. So think about that. If you're only storing $1,000 worth of contents, your deductible is $500. You file the claim, you put your homeowner policy at risk for the small claim after paying your deductible. It's not worth it. And the challenge with homeowner policies or renters insurance policies is most insurance companies, of the 2,000 insurance companies, the majority of them subscribe to a service that's called CLU. It's called the Comprehensive Loss Underwriting Exchange. And that data, when you file that claim, is now shared with all of the other insurance companies that subscribe. So when you go to shop your insurance to get a more competitive rate, the new carrier is going to see that, right? The beauty of our product is that we don't report to that exchange. So if you have a claim with us, there's no deductible, first of all, with our program. And if it's a covered loss, we're going to pay first dollar. So, and what that means in plain English is, even if you have a homeowner policy that's in force, if you purchased our product, we'll pay first if it's a covered loss with the zero deductible. So there's a whole lot of reasons. I mean, those are a couple of critical ones that I've mentioned. But everyone has their own different, risk tolerance levels. Some people are saying, my declaration page, here it is, and that's fine. But there's a risk to that, right? Unless you're, in my view, unless you're storing a very high value of contents, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, that's when, a homeowner policy may be valued. And you obviously call your insurance agent to make sure that coverage is provided to your storage unit specifically. So, but when, for the average tenant, a couple $1,000s worth of coverage, our product just fits that sweet spot for tenants.
I love it. Thank you for that detail, Mario, because like I said, if I'm in this industry and I didn't know that, I strongly suspect that the average person walking in the door certainly won't either. One other thing that I learned after the fact was that homeowners coverage, when it comes to off-site storage, typically they do a value per pound of what they think that you had in storage. So with your tenant protection, if you have a $3,000 coverage plan, let's say, and it's a covered event, to my understanding, you guys had a check for $3,000, right?
Yeah, so it depends on the policy. So if they have replacement cost, or it depends if it's actual cash value or replacement cost. So, but we'll only pay up to the limit. So let's, at the end of the day, if it's a covered loss, the most that the tenant insurance or the tenant protection plans will pay is up to the limit that they purchased. Right? Because some tenants will say, and you have to look at the policy because there's exclusions, because one of the exclusions is cash, right? Cash is, let's say I stored $2,000 worth of cash in my unit. Well, that's a moral hazard, right? So companies recognize that, everyone, just before Christmas is going to go store $2,000 worth of cash and then have their unit broken into. So there are specific exclusions. Cash is one of them, illegal substances is another, but there are several exclusions. But at the end of the day, these policies are great because they cover, burglary, they cover fire, they cover windstorm, they cover rain damage, so it's important to look at, the product, look at the coverages, look at the exclusions. But our number one claim, throughout the US, and it has been for the past 12 years, is burglary. And that I know the presidents and the owners of various insurance companies, the majority of them in our space, and they can repeat that same story. Burglary is number one, fire and water damage number 2 and 3.
Ouch. Jackie, did I see that you had a question on that as well?
I do, Mario. Do you suggest, or do owners incentivize managers with a portion or a spiff or something to close those sales?
Well, I'm going to be very neutral in how I say this because so some states, some insurance departments are very specific, and the regulations do not permit that.
Okay.
So now, having said that, an owner or a management company can incentivize the managers, like on overall performance of the facility, right? Boxes, locks, and the like, and kind of lump that in the aggregate. So as long as it's not specific to insurance sales, and again, every state is different. So, they may be able to do it in certain states, but I know, like I reside in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I know Arizona is very specific that says that's a no-no, right? They do not allow that. So
Mario, do you train people on that when they sign up for your product? Do you give them like state specific regulations and things like that?
Most of the our operators are aware of that regulatory concern. So they provide the incentives on overall performance. Obviously, insurance is a big component. I'll as we go around the turn here, I'll mention why insurance is such a great value offering for the tenant, but also the owners as well.
Sure. Well, and I'm going to touch on what Jessica was talking about earlier with these people that we're hiring have to have a component of the salesperson in them for not only just, the ancillary products that we're talking about right here, but at the end of the day, while we're talking about how to add to rent, obviously getting a rental is the number one thing. And you guys know I'm not going to get off of a call without saying the way that you do that is by answering every single phone call that you just paid to make ring, right? And being able to close that right over the phone and turn that into a sale before that person even hangs up. Because if they do hang up, they very easily could just go on to the next one, right? So, Jess, look at me. Am I ever going to get off this phone and don't say, answer the phone? I'm begging you, answer the phone.
Yeah, you work for a call center.
Listen,
and just to piggyback on that, Shannon, like I mentioned early in the call, search demand overall is down. I think the last stat I saw, it's about 16% year over year. That's some high double-digit numbers, right? So every dollar you're spending on marketing counts, and cost per acquisition per tenant is on the higher end right now. So if you're not answering your phone and you're missing those calls, there really is no brand loyalty in self-storage. Unfortunately, that hurts my heart as a marketing person to say that, but there just isn't. It's price, proximity, and whoever's going to pick up and help them the quickest, right? Because it's needs-based. They're not calling you 6 months out in most instances saying, I need self-storage, this month at this time. They're calling the day of because within the next probably couple days, they're looking to make that move, right? Yeah. So you have to answer. And not only do you have to answer, and we find this a lot through our mystery shopping program that we offer. If I were to ask, and let's play a little trivia here. If I were to ask everyone on this panel, what are the 2 things that you think get missed the most during a call with a tenant? Go ahead, Shannon. I know you know.
They don't ask for their name or their phone number or their email. They don't ask them for any information. They just give a price and hang up.
And if you don't have tracking mechanisms on the back end, caller ID, a call tracking system, something where you can retrieve that number and call back, there go your marketing dollars that just walked right on out the door. So you might as well light a match to whatever that cost per acquisition is. If you have managers that aren't asking those basic questions, we offer free shopping for people to test our system and demo it on their own data. I'd probably go 95% of the time. Those are the 2 things that are not asked. Name and phone. Email is a great one to get to, but at least the name and phone number. Yeah. For an owner operator, I would make that an automatic failure on a mystery shop for myself. Like, you didn't ask those 2 things. That's an automatic failure. I don't care if you got a 95% on the rest of the questions and things that we go through that audit. Or that process, you don't ask those 2 things, that's an automatic failure to me, because again, you're spending that money to get them to come in and it's going right back out the door by not following up and asking those questions.
Well, and every interaction is an opportunity to build a relationship with that. Have you ever in your life built a relationship with someone who you didn't know their name? Like,
Right.
Does it count if I forgot it 2 seconds after they told me their name?
Well, there is that. That's a real life situation, Jackie, but at least ask, right? Yeah. And if you're in that role and it is your job, make a note, right? Keep a little piece of paper next to something, make a note of who that person is, use their name. It's important. It's important when you're building a relationship, which is what you want with remember, every one of those calls is your brand new customer, right? That's how we should be treating them from the very first one. Sorry, I got on a little soapbox there, Jess. I'm going to step back.
No, you're okay. But before you continue on, I just want to remind the audience of something real quick. We've asked 3 poll questions in the chat. So if you could go over into that chat area and look at the poll questions. Poll question 1 is, how old is your property? So just put a number 1 dash and then write the years of how old your property is. Poll question number 2 is, do you offer tenant insurance? You can just say number 2, yes or no. And then poll question 3, who answers your phone? 1, we do. 2, your employee. 3, a call center. Or 4, the answering machine. And by God, if you still have an answering machine, please call Shannon and fix that.
Then move to 3. Move to 3.
Please, like today, call Shannon today after this call. So.
I love it. Well, I'm going to turn this because Jackie asked this question to Mario about doing some sort of an incentive or a spiff to the managers. So I'm going to turn that back to Jackie, because I understand that in your industry that you might have something that could be revenue for owner operators with regards to your product as well. So let's talk a little bit about referrals and what that looks like.
Yeah, so not necessarily for our products, but that's a great way to, it's a great way to build your income by offering referral bonuses, and not just, and Stacey Maxwell has a whole training on this, which you should go watch hers, but not only offering some kind of referral bonus to your managers, but also to anyone, to your tenants, to anyone who wants to refer business to you. I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Anyone who wants to refer business, I have never used storage in my life. I am not a customer. I'm not a manager. But if I know that there's a facility, because I know that there are facilities around that are nice and well taken care of and safe and all of those things. And if I knew that I was going to get a little something from a facility when I refer my family member to go who needs storage to go, or my neighbor to go get storage, that's a little incentivizing, right? So you shouldn't limit that necessarily to your managers or to your storage tenants. And then also getting out the word to your local movers, your local real estate agents, your apartment managers. Making those relationships is really key, and for those reciprocal relationships, for just building and getting every lead you can.
Absolutely. And like Jackie said, we know groups. We have some resources for you too. If you don't have a referral program currently in place for your facility, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you get a copy of ours, or a copy of, get as many copies as you can, because all of them have like their own variation, even on the bonus structure side of incentivizing your managers, what some of those key metrics could be. Obviously, rentals is one of your number one, revenue and rentals. But there's other stuff you can incentivize your managers on. Mystery shop scoring, like I was just talking about mystery shops, their internal audits, how those look. There's lots of ways that you can build this out. And people are going to react when there's a carrot dangling in front of them. They just will. It's just human nature, so.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna ask a question too that may be a little polarizing. So you guys feel free to jump into the comments if you hate that I'm even bringing this up. But I want to talk to you a little bit about things on the back end, because again, we can't just keep increasing rent rates, right? But how can we get just a little bit more money per tenant? Jamie, I'm going to come to you on that in a minute, because I think that you'd be a huge help on that as well. But from my perspective, one of the things that we see owner operators doing is adding a convenience fee on payments, particularly those payments where it requires a live person to do the interaction. So I think part of that is training your tenant base, right? You want auto pay when you can, first and foremost, right? And then you want the other options, to fall into place. But when somebody requires a live person, we see owner operators increasingly adding a small convenience fee. Now, Public Storage, you guys, it's $20. They will offer to transfer you to an automated system that is free, or you can give me your credit card over the phone for $20. So they're not messing around. Clearly what they're saying is, we do not want to take your payment over the phone, right? We don't want to take your credit card number with a live person. And that's, listen, you're training your tenant as well. But let's just say you added $2 to every payment. You have a 500 unit facility, and you have a lot of people signed up on auto pay, but let's just say you earn an extra $150 per month in that one little thing. Not a transaction fee, that's different, but a convenience fee for using that automated system or calling in. $150 a month is like renting another 10 by 15 unit, right? So if you could rent one more unit every single month, you would choose to do that, right? So those are kinds of some of the things that we think about on the back end that are available to owner operators. But sometimes they don't do that. Jessica, to your point, the managers don't want to hear about, I don't want to pay the $2 fee, or whatever that looks like. So Jamie, I'm turning that back to you then, because my question, and we didn't talk about this beforehand, so I'm totally going to put you on the spot right now, but gross margin occurs to me when I'm looking at all of these things behind you. So are you coming into this with basically like a price list for the owner operators, or are they setting their rate, whatever they want it to be?
Yeah. Speaking, also piggybacking off the convenience fee, that is, really your store is so convenient for that person. Once again, where can you get this lock from? By the time they run to 5 different stores, try to get it online, I bet you they're going to buy this from you. And I always give the example of how much is a postage stamp? We don't buy them that often. I couldn't tell you the price. Your customer does not know what the price of, one lock is. So being that convenient spot, hey, here, go ahead. You need this for your unit is huge. And then we do provide pricing, and you also have to think of the convenience of where that person is purchasing and what that area looks like. For example, with a cylinder lock, we see prices in the Washington, D.C. area being $25 for one lock.
Oof, okay.
So very different. And all my notes on my sheet. Similar lock in Orlando is going to be about $15. Now take this same lock to California and you have a whole nother price. So making sure you're also pricing towards your market, because can you sell this in DC for $15 and still make money? Yes, but I'd rather make $10 more and make sure I'm pricing it towards the market.
I love it. Thank you for that. Because we didn't talk about margins before. Obviously, we were discussing revenue, but if your profit is X% more,
right,
in this store than another store. I love that you did that. Mario, what about you? Kind of similar question to you. When you bring in your insurance product, do you tell them this is how much you sell it for, or do they get to say?
No, with our product, it's filed with every Department of Insurance. So we have set rates. And then we have a profit sharing mechanism for larger clients that they can participate in a profit sharing arrangement. But the beauty of the tenant insurance product and insurance in general, think about this. I think Jamie's product, all of our products are definitely worthwhile. But insurance is one of those very unique products. Is you don't have to inventory it, right? So the operator does not have to buy the product first, right? They don't have to keep it in inventory. And so it's really a transaction. And so our rates are filed. The operator will share with the tenant what limits are available. And then the hidden benefit really for the operator, first of all, it's a benefit for the tenant. So let's never forget that. But the profit incentive is there's monthly admin fees that the manager, or not manager, but the management company and or owner earns. And really the hidden value is what the added asset value is. So let me just give you an example. I wrote this down. Let's say you just have 2 facilities, right? And let's say 450 units in each of the facilities. So let's say you just have a take-up rate of 50%. 50% of the tenants purchase it, 50% of the tenants don't. And let's say, just real conservative, they make it's $5 per month per policy. So that's an additional revenue stream of $2,250 per month, right? So it's on a monthly basis as long as the tenants are renting, because it's a pay with rent model. And so So $2,250 a month, multiply that by 12 months, it's $27,000 a year in additional revenue.
Wow, that's significant.
It's pretty significant, but more importantly, when I talk to operators, and like Jessica, you talk to operators throughout the country, when we hear an operator say, no, I don't want to offer tenant insurance, my manager doesn't want to offer it, and the like, I can tell you this, the sophisticated larger operators and or management companies look for facilities like that because they're actually undervalued.
Right.
Correct.
Yes.
So I'm going to give you a figure. So that same example, 27,000 per year in additional revenue at a 6% cap rate. And, the owners, whoever's listening to this call should call their real estate broker, but at a 6% cap rate, that 27,000 a year in additional revenue adds 450,000 in value, additional value.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, and that's just for offering tenant insurance. It's a valuable product. It's month to month. And so we just believe it's great for the tenants. It's great for the owners. And then if there's ever a claim, and we know they're going to be there, we have over 6,000 claims, between 5,500 and 6,000 claims filed every year. So we know there's claims, and we know burglary is number one. But now the owner or management company can point to, the insurance company and have a licensed adjuster handle the claim.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a way of transferring some potential litigation against the owner, even though the leases are clearly, defined as far as that the owners don't take any responsibility. So I'm seeing a screen here.
Yeah, just want to share. I was so excited for this.
Sorry, it's me because I want to close. We have about 6 minutes left. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt what you were saying, Mario. I was just trying to get it loaded and ready to go.
Not a problem.
But I want to share this with everyone and anyone that is interested in watching this. We did a self-storage unlock like you're on today with Tim Dietz, who is the CEO of the National Self-Storage Association. And every 3 years, the National Self-Storage Association does what they call a demand study, where they go out, they survey focus groups, and gather very, very valuable data for the industry that we can use to our benefit. And this is one of my favorite parts of the demand study. They went out there and they asked renters what they are willing to pay more for. So this is like the top list of what people are saying they're willing to pay more for. So you see pest control, you see climate control, you see unit security, which there's devices out there that can help with that. There's vendors that can help with that, and so on. So a few things. Number one, if you don't have a copy of the demand study, you can go to self-storage.org and still buy one. Again, they did it in 2023. The next one will be out in the next 3 years. But I would, if you could hone in on just a few of these and institute these within your business. People are telling you they're willing to pay more. Listen to your consumer and react. Like, this is a great way to go get additional revenue. They're telling you, yes, I'll pay for in-unit security. Yes, I'll pay for climate control. So maybe you have a value add property and you have acreage to build more buildings. Make those buildings climate control if you don't have climate control in your property, if you can, things of that nature. So you'll see securities in here a lot, gate access, 24-hour access. Not a favorite one of mine because I don't want people on the property at 3 a.m. I think that leads to nefarious activity. I think they can well do what they need to do in restricted hours. But I will say there's some exception-based one there, maybe like a contractor that needs to get into their unit at 3 a.m. because they have a job starting at 5 a.m. But I can tell you, when you make those exceptions, you should be charging a fee for that. So if you want 24-hour access, you can have it, but you're going to pay for it. So
it's number 2 on the list of what they'll pay for. So absolutely don't miss the opportunity to charge for it, right?
Yeah. And again, it's not something that we use at our, again, we do it exception based. If somebody comes to us and says, I really need to get into this unit at 3 a.m., your access hours don't allow for that, we will allow for that. But I promise you, they're getting charged for it on the back end through a fee. And charging fees, we didn't even really touch on this, and we probably can, we'll have a whole separate webinar about this. Charging fees within reason, so you don't get in trouble by the Attorney General. And Scott Zucker and I talk about this a lot, but charging fees, admin fees, late fees, lot cutting fees, 24-hour access fees, convenience fees, like Shannon talked. There's a lot of tech coming into the industry you can charge. I know Storage Asset Management is either doing it or testing, charging a technology fee if they're using maybe an electronic lock or some level of technology that's like an added, feature for the facility. Charge for it, and you can make money on the fee side too, but within reason. You can't just go out there charging fees to charge fees, and they have to be priced accordingly. And like I said, within reason. So again, we can probably have a whole separate webinar about this, but I always like to just toss this up there. Again, these are what people are saying, so why wouldn't you listen to them? So Shannon, I'm going to let you close this out, and then we have a couple announcements. We have about 2 minutes left. This moved fast, and we didn't even get questions from the audience. So audience, if you have questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. You've been quiet today, so if you can go back and answer those poll questions for us too, we would greatly appreciate it.
I love it. Thank you, Jessica. And honestly, Mario, Jackie, and Jamie, thank you all for agreeing to come be on with us today. I knew that this would be a topic that would really, really have some hot spots for owner operators who are thinking, listen, I'm only missing 3 calls a month. I'm catching every lead I possibly can. How do I squeeze those just a little bit more? Jackie, I just could not believe in your product more. Like, keep the place clean. That's number one. Mario, same. I wish I had known before I rented that my homeowner's coverage was at risk, because I thought I was being so amazing by storing my IKEA bookshelf on their thing. And Jamie approached you specifically for this, because to my way of thinking, what you offer is different than almost anybody. Like, it is a physical product. I had an old boss who was a farmer growing up, and he used to say, your stuff that's in the barn, right? The barn value is a lot higher when someone walks in and sees that, and they know that you're a one-stop shop. So thank you all for joining. And as always, I'm going to close and say, everybody, please answer the phone.
I feel like XPS has made you sign something in your employee agreement where you have to say that.
Nope. I all me. I'll bet somebody somewhere is happy that I said it, but I promise you that's my little customer service heart going back to I always joke that I've been doing customer service of some sort all the way since the 1900s. And yeah, that's just basic. It's just so basic. Just the basics.
Well, and I think, Jess, you said price, proximity, and it's whoever picks up the phone. Like, that's the third P, is pick up the dang phone. Yes, because people are impatient, and people are not going to wait for you to call them back. They are going right to the next facility. So
especially if they're price, if they're similar proximity and similar price, they don't care. So
no brand loyalty. And that SSA study you just showed had brand at the way bottom.
It sure did. Yeah. They'll pay for it, but it's not that top of mind. There were other things that were more top of mind. So thank you all for joining. I'm going to release you. I have just a couple quick announcements, and then we will wrap today up. If you are not an SBOA enhanced member that is able to get self-storage unlocked content like this as part of your membership, there's links in the chat where you can become one. It just costs $9.99 a month. We run that on promo a lot at half off for $4.99 a month. So if you want access to these events, please become an enhanced member. If you're not an enhanced member, you can absolutely participate in Self-Storage Unlocked. You can go to our Eventbrite page and register for our upcoming events. We have 2 more in Q2 that will happen in June. That information is in our newsletter. It's on our social media. It's on our website. So if you want to see our upcoming June webinars for Self-Storage Unlocked, please go take a look. And then mid to end of June, we will release the schedule for Q3. that, will take us into July, August, and September. And we are releasing early next week our digital quarterly magazine. It will have save the dates for quarter 3, not necessarily the topics and speakers just yet, but at least you can see the save the dates, so you can mark off on your calendar those respective Thursdays. We always do Self-Storage Unlocked on a Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please join the enhanced membership. If you're not an enhanced member, please stay in touch with us through social media. We send out a weekly newsletter that over 8,000 people read every single week. We are here to help. Like I said, we're owners and operators in the space. We've been doing this for a long time. And our entire mantra over here at the SBOA is to help owners and operators maybe not make some of the mistakes that we made early on, 25 years ago. We want to help mitigate those mistakes for you and get you operating and marketing and developing and acquiring and all the things that go into self-storage the right way the first time, so you don't run into some of the barriers that we did. Thank you again for joining us today. We'll be back in a couple weeks with another episode of Self-Storage Unlocked. So stay tuned and check out our newsletter for that information. It's always a pleasure. Have a great weekend. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. I forgot it was Memorial Day. Enjoy your Mondays off. Eat all the hamburgers and hot dogs out there. Drink all the sweet tea, and we'll see you back soon. Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Are the doors at your storage facility faded, oxidized, discolored, and just old looking? Do they leave chalk on your customers' hands and belongings? Are you losing business to your competitors because your doors make your facility look old and outdated? Faded doors are a universal problem in the storage industry. The Everbright restoration system is the smart choice in door restoration. Everbright restores your door's original color and luster, making your doors look brand new again. Everbright is a clear coating and will work on any color door. Everbright is ready to use, with no complicated mixing, no masking or taping off the surrounding surfaces. Everbright also protects metal buildings, signs, and gates against sun fading, salt air, acid rain, and other damaging elements. At $15 per large door, Everbright is the economical answer to restoring your faded and oxidized doors, helping you attract new customers and protecting your investment.